Okay, so I promised you an end of season 1 video in which I succinctly clarify all my thoughts about the characters and plot developments that have happened thus far. Well, this is the video. 1 out of 2 ain't bad. Okay, from what I can gather, much like Once Upon a Time, we have 2 different elements to each episode. We have the backstory and we have the island forward story, the linear story. The linear story is full of wild and strange mysteries, whereas the character development that occurs during the backstories have also got some mysteries. Less strange, but nonetheless important to our understanding of how the characters work. We deal with the characters first of all. So I've been asked what my favourite characters are, my top 5, whether I can rank them. I can't rank them, not at this stage. There's too many characters that I feel very neutral about for various reasons, and at this stage my reasoning behind my opinions of some of the characters are very contradictory, and I find I'm doing that for virtually everybody because every character has its flaws, or at least we assume that every character has their flaws. There's a couple of characters where we've seen them be nothing but nice, but most of the characters have some sort of shadiness in their background. Charlie, Kate, Sawyer, Shannon, John, Jin, Sun. None of them are really what you might call trustworthy, good people. So my top 5 characters. 2 of them are good, and my reason for putting them in the top 5 are purely character based. They're good people. In their backstory, and since they've been on the island, they've proven themselves to be helpful, kind, and good. Third person, I've chosen because it's a little bit of because I like the character, and a little bit because they bring a lot to the story. They are not so good. They've been portrayed in a slightly bad way, a forgivably bad way. The last 2 are guilty of some horrendous crimes. Crimes which I would say are an affront to human decency. And the reason they're in the top 5 is, well, it's character based and it's mostly story based. They bring a lot to the plot. Who are those 5? I think you can guess. We have Hurley, who in his backstory proved himself to be kind and considerate, wanting to buy a house for his mother with his winnings, trying to use his winnings for good even when they turned bad. And Claire got herself into a difficult situation that she was not expecting. She was the victim of what was a bad thing done to her, a boyfriend just dumping her like that. And since she's been on the island, she's proved herself to be kind and considerate. Charlie, on the other hand, in his backstories has proved himself to be a little bit of a rogue. Heroin addict, has stolen to feed that habit, even tried to confidence trick some poor unsuspected rich girl. But since he's been on the island, he's been protective and kind and considerate and helpful and just a general all-round nice guy, and I relate to him a lot, partly because he's the only British guy there. But I think his crimes as they are redeemable and forgivable to a degree. Then we have the other 2. John Locke proved himself to be, in his backstories, he's treated like a doormat. He's ridiculed and humiliated by his boss. He was taken for a ride by his father, who took a major organ from him and then just left him. Not so much as a buy or leave, not another word. Just abandoned him. And, of course, he was abandoned as a child, put in the foster system. Paralysed, told for at least 4 years since he was paralysed that he can't do stuff. Constantly reminded him of his disability. So he's been treated badly and he's had a bad time. But since coming to the island, he's been an alpha. Leading the hunt for meat, keeping his own secrets, keeping his secrets even up to the point of risking other people's lives. That's the point where I think that's a crime that was unforgivable. He knowingly lied about the circumstances of Boone's accident, which directly caused Boone's death. And he apologised for it afterwards, and didn't he sound sincere? And I don't believe a word of it. I just think he apologised and admitted his guilt and showed everyone the hatch, or at least revealed the hatch to people, purely because he was in a corner and he knew it. And he was going to get found out eventually, so might as well come clean. He did it for his own purposes. It's almost as if he wants to get back at the group and prove his dominance over the group for all the mistreatment that he'd received over all the years. Like Jack said, he's not to be trusted. If the group knows what's good for them, they will cast him out. But of course that's not going to happen because he's too good a character. And he is. He's just played so... I mean, they're all good characters, let's face it. They're all brilliant characters. And my opinions of them, I feel, are because they were written to embody those emotions. And when I'm meant to like a certain character, the writers will point me in that direction. The writing has been so good and the character acting has been so good that I really do feel like these are real people. It adds so much depth to the series. Lastly, on my top 5, again, Before the Island proved themselves to be cruel. Had the potential of cruelty, a torturer no less. And we know that Saeed, in his past, has done things way beyond anything that has been described or prescribed on the island. Even what he done to Sawyer to get the information about the inhalers was tiny compared to what has been implied that he has done in his role as Chief Inquisitor or whatever he was. And even the fact that he let that one girl go, risked everything to allow her to escape. He did it for selfish reasons. He loved her. She was an old friend, and I've no doubt that if she wasn't that old school friend that he had a secret crush on, her end would have been a lot worse. And so he does this. He is this. Can I really forgive them? That is a crime that is an affront to human decency. Unforgivable in my book. So why do I find that he's on my top 5 characters? Because he brings so much to the story. And since coming to the island, should we say since the Sawyer incident, he has tried to be a better person. I'm not sure it's enough. But as I said, he's just a brilliant character and so brilliantly acted that I can't help but like the bard. As I said, most of the other characters I'm very neutral about. I find that I would like to know more about their past and get a little bit more about who they are before making a firm judgment about them. I did form a strong hatred for Shannon to begin with. That has now passed. The reason I didn't like her was because during the first few episodes, when everybody else was tending to the wounded or being wounded or helping to set up some sort of community that can survive, she was sunbathing. She didn't lift a single finger to help until she was prompted to in order to translate the French message up on the hill. And I really hated her for that. But since then, my opinion of her has softened somewhat. Not enough to have any strong opinion of her, but she's one of the ones that was at the bottom and is now in the neutral zone. The two that are at the bottom, I most definitely do not like at this stage. But again, I don't have enough information about them to properly judge them. But I have anyway. Are Sawyer. The thing with Shannon, withholding the medicine, and then the whole games that he was playing in that time, and the fact in his nicknames, which are funny sometimes but very condescending and insulting at other times, just rubs me up the wrong way. I admit he's a troubled character, he's a troubled person, and I do find him rather interesting, but I don't like him. He rubs me up the wrong way. As does Kate. Again, beautifully acted by Evangeline Lilly. I think I'm supposed to dislike her somewhat and distrust her. We haven't yet been given even the remotest clue as to the circumstances behind the murder she committed, or whether it was murder or whether it was manslaughter. Was it justifiable on a moral ground? We don't know this. This is being deliberately withheld from us, and it is making me dislike her. Yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Any backstory that comes from this point onwards could easily change my opinion of any of these people. I think possibly having full in your face, can't deny this evidence of what Saeed had done and has done during his role in the Home Guard, or whatever it was called, might sour my opinion of him. At the moment it's only implied, so I can kind of put it at the back of my head, but if that was ever shown in full, can't deny this evidence, then yeah, that could change my opinion. There are other things. Kate's crime, I need to know the circumstances behind that. That weighs heavily on my opinion of Kate. If I find that she's been the victim of domestic abuse by her partner for years and that she lashed out and killed him, then she goes up in the list, because that is a crime that I can morally justify to myself. Right. Shannon, again with domestic violence and domestic abuse, it was implied that she was lying about being a victim to this. And I don't think that her silence should be seen as an admission of guilt. I think there's still a chance that she was in fact telling the truth, and she was and has been a victim of domestic abuse. But I would like to see, I would like confirmation of this. You see, her silence could have just been Boone could have accused her constantly of different things throughout their relationship. And her silence could have just been, yeah, whatever, what next? I don't care, as long as I'm out of there, it doesn't matter. I see no evidence at the moment to think that she might have been lying. And I know we were presented with evidence that there was a possibility she was lying, and I don't buy it. I really don't. Characters have been pairing off. I've noticed this. Obviously, Jin and Sun were already paired together when they arrived. Same with Walt and Michael. Same with Shannon and Boone. But then different pairings started to develop. John Locke and Boone, Saeed and Shannon, Claire and Charlie, Kate and Sawyer. They all started kind of pairing off a little bit. And now they're separating. Even Jin and Sun are separated. Jin's still on the raft, fate unknown. Sun back on the island. Walt and Mike have now been separated. Walt has been taken by the others. Michael on the raft, fate unknown. Sawyer and Kate also been separated, although they were growing distant to each other even before that. So I started thinking about this pairing up, and there are similarities of the stories when you start looking at their reasons for being in Australia, for being on that flight, for taking that journey. Kate and Sawyer. Kate was in Australia having committed a murder, or that's what it's been implied, whereas Sawyer went to Australia to commit a murder. Jack went to was coming back from Australia to attend a funeral, having collected his father's body, and Saeed was going to America having had attended a funeral of his friend. Michael and Claire. Michael went to Australia to reclaim a child, his child, whereas Claire was going to America to potentially relinquish her claim on a child, her child. And there, I couldn't think of any more. So that's a work in progress. At the moment, I can't really group the characters into anything more than those that are trying to survive and those that are trying to leave, those that are trying to escape and be rescued. So the mysteries, let's go on to the mysteries. There's a lot of mysteries, and the last few episodes of the last season kind of confirmed that I really need to be thinking way outside the box when trying to think of explanations for these mysteries. Even some of the more mundane character mysteries or gaps in the history of the character as we know it require some out of the box thinking. As far as the characters go, I'm most interested in knowing what are the circumstances behind Kate's original crime, how and what the circumstances are for Locke's paralysis in the first place, what the truth is behind Shannon's potential domestic violence claim, what the whole deal was with Claire's psychic and how he knew what he knew, That's the one I think that I'm probably less likely to get answers for at any time. And who is Son's father? I mean, what is he? Is he a crime lord? Is he a drug lord? Is he mafia? Is he a corrupt politician? Exactly what is he? How did he get the power? And how has Son been justifying knowing this and knowing what she knows to herself? As far as the island mysteries go, that is a whole different subject. I was thrown off by the black rock being in the middle of the island, and what that actually was seemed very mundane at the begin with, because I was expecting some sort of mysterious oily black rock that was giving off some magical, I don't know, you've got to think outside the box with this, and I don't think, no matter how stupid, any explanation is not worth investigating. But it was a ship. Slave ship? That's what they all assumed. I suppose being American, they probably would think along those lines. Someone in the comment threw me a curveball, which I think is probably the most probable. It was a convict ship. Possibly transporting convicts from England to Australia. Got blown off course. That's the most logical explanation as far as I can see. It could be just a mutinous ship, and the prisoners in there weren't many. It was some sort of investigation ship that had a failed mutiny, and the mutineers had to be shackled. Either way, I think there's a fairly mundane explanation for that. What I would really like to know is, are they responsible for the others? Are the others ancient descendants of those crew, the crew of that ship? Obviously, we saw the skeletons of the prisoners. They didn't escape, but the crew must have done. Who are the others? I don't know. My best guess is what I've just said. That are now kidnapping because there's no... they've been... They've run the risk of inbreeding, so they need new genetic material in there, so they're kidnapping people, to special people maybe, to join their clan and reinforce their... I don't know. I mean, they took Rousseau's daughter. Nobody ever discovered, as far as we know, so it's assuming that Rousseau's daughter is one of the others now. And now they want Walt. And they kind of want Claire's baby, but... Or was that a decoy right from the beginning? Somehow I don't think so. Ethan Ron was very, very insistent on getting hold of Claire. And again, implied that it's Claire's baby that he was after. So they're going to come back for Claire's baby at some point. Smokey. I do not know what that is. John Locke apparently has seen it, or he's seen something, because we saw it from the whatever it is point of view. Seemed to be about 20 foot up in the air. So was it hovering, was it flying, or was it actually 20 feet tall? Was it hanging from a tree? We don't know, because we saw it from its point of view. But ever since John Locke first saw whatever he saw, he's been acting very strange. Seemed to be very quick to assume that the thing was sentient, that it was somehow the heart of the island in some way. He has a lot of faith in its abilities to do things that you wouldn't normally assume anything could do. So, and of course we have John Locke's cured paralysis, although it comes back occasionally. How did that happen? You can't cure paralysis. That is inexplicable. So we have inexplicable things happening. we can only assume it is whatever Smokey is that's stomping around. It seems to be invisible. We never actually get to see it. And I suppose we never will. Polar bears. How did polar bears get on the island? The series, or season 1, tried to imply that it was Walt conjuring them from his imagination when he got scared. Kind of nearly fell for that one as well. But now I'm not so sure, because he wasn't anywhere near the group that encountered the polar bears when the first one attacked. And presumably they had a polar bear body. If it was a conjuration, it wouldn't have a physical form as such, would it? You see, I'm questioning everything, and again, no explanation is too stupid, so it could be a physical manifestation with physical form and physical force, enough to actually knock a person down. But I really doubt it. I think there's some other explanation there. Maybe the second one, because Walt was around there, maybe the second one was a conjuration from Walt's imagination, but not the first. I can't believe the first is. The first encounter had to be something else. Don't know what. Who are the others? Yeah, we've gone through that. What are the numbers? What do the numbers mean? Are they representative of a language? Are the numbers an actual sentence? Do they have meaning? How do they somehow affect a person 7,000 miles away? How do they affect that person's luck? Again, I don't know. I can't even think of a stupid reason. I can think of absolutely no reason whatsoever. Nothing comes to mind. Nothing at all. Absolutely zilch. That, again, we need more information. We've only got that little bit of Hurley's backstory and the fact that the numbers are printed on the hatchway. But apart from that, we know nothing about these numbers. Where they came from, what they mean, whether they mean anything at all. The hatchway. The hatchway is the big thing, isn't it? Everything was geared towards that. Boone died preserving the secret of the hatch. And the hatch is deep. It goes down a long way. That knocks out my first suggestion. That my first thought was maybe it was a submarine. Stupid idea, I know, but maybe a submarine got washed ashore and then just left in the middle of the island and then buried somehow. But no, that hatchway goes down a long way. Longer than any practical reason I can think of for it to go down that length. And what's going to be at the bottom of it? An escape room, a place for them to live, or at least a place for them to hide, a control room, some sort of mechanical gizmos and computer tech that controls Smokey and all the weirdness that's going on in the island. No, I don't think so. Maybe it's never ending. Maybe it just goes down and down and down and down until it hits lava. See, I've got no answers for you. I need answers myself. I need to get into season 2 and get some more clues. There's lots of different ways of saying faith, but the way John Locke said it seemed to imply some sort of deification. Maybe that was just me reading too much into it. That is entirely possible. But it just, the way he's been talking, the way that he's been saying that the island will provide, the island will show us the way, the island has given us a second chance. These are not things that an island can actually do. In fact, they're not things, as far as logic goes, they're not things that any anything anyone can do. And yet he has faith that these things will occur, that answers will be provided. And of course he's the only one that has had a physical contact, if indeed he did have a physical contact with the thing. And he does talk about it as if it's some sort of higher being. Maybe not a god as such, although I do believe that John Locke is probably, or was probably at one point, very, very, very deeply religious. And I think at some point something shook his faith. Something shook his faith really badly, possibly even the paralysis itself. And this island has restored it for him by restoring his ability to walk and his freedom of movement. It has given him a second chance and restored his faith. Whereas I am more Jack. I would rather find some sort of scientific or more logical explanation. I think the truth is probably going to lie somewhere down the middle. Okay, I'm going to sign off for now because I really, really want to get into the second season, and I can't do that until I've got this done and published. So I will thank you very much for watching. There now follows a few small outtakes and deleted bits from the full reactions that I thought you might enjoy. Lost Reactions Season 2 will be back really fast. Within days of this being published, there should be a new one out. Thank you very much for watching. See you later. Bye bye. Cruel, I don't know what you'd call it, eager to be involved in, seeing it from this, that, no, I mean the bad things would probably have happened regardless, but no, that doesn't make sense. Let me start this again. Especially if him and Saeed start getting into a mano a mano macho kind of, who's got the, who's you know what I was going to say there. I'm not going to say that. You know what I mean. They get into their fucking pissing contests. No, I shouldn't have said that either. Cut circumstances than we are led to think. Let me rephrase that, because that just didn't come out as English. If I find, for instance, that she's been the victim of domestic violence for years and killed her husband / boyfriend / girlfriend / wife / whatever, partner. I should just say partner, that's easier. Jack and Boone.
Thank you. You have no idea how long I've been waiting for someone to agree with me. Thank you. Oh, God, thank you. Thank you so much.
Oh God, you're not going to bully a poor old fisherman. Why did you lie about your father? Because you're ashamed of him. Yes.
I just need to take it a little slow. Are you okay with that?
Yes, fair enough.
I had no expectations.
Good answer.
Right.
Hopes, not the expectation.
Wow, I feel good. No, 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 no. I knew that I would now. No, 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 no.
No, that's not helping.
Feel good. No, 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 no. I knew that I would now. No, 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 no. So good. So good. I got you. Bum, 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 bum.
No.
Dude, that's all I got.
What happens to his body?
After it's released, he'll be cremated.
A Muslim man is supposed to be buried.
Yeah, well, there's no one to claim the body.
I'll claim him.
You can't claim him when you're on a plane in 2 hours, mate.
Then change my flight to tomorrow.
Why would Kate poison Michael?
Well, you know, the whole fugitive thing.
He didn't know. John didn't know.
He doesn't know. Well, how am I supposed to keep straight who knows what around here? I mean,
Yeah.
I didn't even know about the polar bear.
What does he do?
I don't know.
Couldn't get us into first class.
Why not?
Maybe you shouldn't have yelled at the gate agent.
What, you're on his side now?
One day you're gonna appreciate everything I do for you.
Yeah, I can't wait for that day.
Just walks
You can
off.
try again with the gate agent.
Would you let it go?
Excuse me for not being pathetic enough to want to sit next to some crying baby for the next 15 hours.
Your brother.
Yeah. Thanks.
Do you think all this, all we've been through,
Yeah.
do you think we're being punished?
Oh.
Punished for what?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it?
Things we did before,
Things you
the
overlooked.
secrets we kept,
So that's...
the lies we told.
Who do you think is punishing us?
Fate.
No one's punishing us. No such thing as fate.
I don't be so sure, actually, given all that's going on.
Why are you folding the clothes?
Because I'm anal.
She's
Is
lost
there
with that
something
bone.
you want?
I think you should take Vincent.
Are you serious?
He'll take care of you.
Oh.